Hello there. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good, wherever you're joining in from. Yes, this is another day on the WordCafé live show. Yes, we're still celebrating our, our women. We're still celebrating our women, so don't get tired. You understand me? Don't get tired. We're here. We're here. So we have some wonderful guest, a wonderful guest on the show today in the person of Grace Ngozi Onyebuolise. She is one amazing and phenomenal woman. She's all about books and books and books. You're wondering where is she? Don't worry. She's somewhere around in the building, in the studio, so to say, and she will join us in no time. So, what are we going to be looking at today? Well, we'll be looking at so many things that centers around books, women. Yes, that is what we'll be doing uh, this evening. There's something about this season, honestly. It feels like that victory march that the Roman soldiers usually do when after each battle, they declare a period of celebration, a week long, a month long of games, and you see them come out with so much energy to celebrate their victory. That is what we are doing this season, for our women, our wives, our sisters, the women all around us, celebrating them, not just for one day, not just for the month of March now, but rather using this month as a significant platform, in launching them into that wonderful season. Listen, we've had so many of them come on the show, talk about resilience, talk about home engineering, talk about, a career woman, and all that. Exciting. And honestly, listening to each of these women on the show has, has brought so much inspiration to even the younger generation. So that is what we will continue doing even this period, celebrating our women, celebrating, yes, each and every one of them. Awesome. Thank you for coming in. How have you been? How's your day been? Going around your daily activities and all that. I know it can be so challenging sometimes, but yes, we're here now. We're here now. Thank God we came through by His grace, and we're here. So that is what we'll be doing tonight. Treat her like a lady, they say. Yes. So she'll be with us in no time. Yes. So how do we begin this conversation this evening? How has it been with you, for you, through this season, discussing about women, celebrating the women? How has it been for you? I guess wonderful. Yes, there's been a lot of challenges out there, both for the male and the female folks. But the truth is, we've been coming through by His grace. We've been coming through by His grace. Awesome. That is why we are here, to share with you, to talk with you, and even, yes, to reach out to you so that you will know, yes, you know that somebody's out there who cares, who has a listening ear, So that is why we are here. Good to be here with you. When I thought of doing this season for the women, to celebrate them. I played around with it, for a bit, like, okay, how do I go about it? What are we going to say? How many episodes are we going to have? But somehow it just came to me like, take it one day at a time. You have women in politics, you have women in the corporate environment, you have women in the medical environment, you have, all over. So you can just go around, reaching, touching each and every one of these sectors, bringing them on board to discuss and share their experiences also on the show with others. And honestly, it has been wow, phenomenal, yes, because we have come to see so many things for ourselves, as in them sharing with us their experiences, them sharing with us their challenges, them sharing with us things they've been through, how they overcame, and all that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes. So we'll continue the discussion this evening with Grace. Yes, where she's going to share some things with us about her own perspective to the the woman phenomenal discussion from the perspective of books. Let me tell you something about Grace. She's graceful, yes, and she loves books. You can call her a bookie, more or less. She loves books. Each time I listen to her talk about books, review books, take on books, I just have this, awesome feeling, like admiration for her, the way she goes around the topics and, everything. I just like, wow, how, I ask myself, how did she come to like books so much? She finds this peace within the pages of books, So each time I get across to her, to like ask her one or two things about books, her responses always fascinates me. And she did something for me recently in one of my books that will be published. It has been published already, but the official release in Nigeria will be coming up sometime in April. She did some of the reviews. Pretty exciting, her reviews, pretty exciting. I was really blown away, the way she went into the subject matter, gave her opinion and suggestions on, oh, I think this is this, I think you should add this, I think you should add that, wonderful, wonderful. And she's a graduate of biochemistry. Yes, she's a graduate of biochemistry. Sometimes I just think, how did she go through biochemistry and not practicing it as it were, but now doing something not contrary, but rather opposite to it. She's in the arts, not in the science, so to say. So awesome personality she is. So we will just wait for her to join us in the studio. Yes. While we wait for her, I'm going to tell you some stories, or a story growing up, my experience with women. There's something that fascinates me about women. You want to know? Okay, I'll tell you. That caring attitude. Yes, that caring attitude. They have a way of looking into your eyes and understanding that pain and reaching out to you. Yes, reaching out to you, consoling you. Yes, reaching out to you, consoling you. They are like that oil that lubricates the wheel. Yes. When they are with you, when they are around you, they provide that support. They provide that support. Amazing, 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 amazing. So that is it. Give me a minute. I have to bring her into the studio. She is somewhere around. I have to bring her into the studio now. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. It's a live show. So things like this come up. Things like this come up. Things like this come up. So I need to bring her in. That's the beauty about live show. That's the beauty about live show. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Yay!
Good evening, sir.
Grace is here with us. Yay! Grace, you're welcome to the WordCafé live show. How are you doing this evening?
Very well, sir. Thanks for having me.
That's her smile. That's her smile. Before you came on, I was telling them your person. I know you're a graduate of biochemistry, and I was like, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
Yes,
I
good.
am.
And I was just like, where did she get this book theme from? She studied biochemistry in school, and she's not practicing science, but she's just in love with books. But before we go into the show proper, this is how we do it on the WordCafé live show. We
Okay.
just call your name and we allow you introduce yourself. Because my opinion is I can't introduce you the way you will introduce yourself because you know you better than I know you. Grace, you're welcome. So who is Grace? Let's hear from Grace.
Okay. Grace Onyebuolise Ngozi is my name. My surname is actually Onyebuolise. And I studied biochemistry at the University of Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
I've been a passionate book lover from childhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've always loved to read. I grew up in a family of six. My father is a teacher. So
Okay.
I actually picked up the habit of reading from my father. Currently,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a personal development. I'm into the human capital development, and
I
I
can
do
see
this
that
using
all
books.
over you.
Yes, I do this through books. I run a book club. I have an online bookshop. So basically, I'm just immersed in the world of books, and that's me.
Why books?
Okay.
For a lady, there's this what I say notion we have in the society that
Okay.
women are not really the bookie type. You understand me? Uh, but when we see them, it's fascinating. So why books?
Okay. Okay. I do think stereotyping is something I'm quite used to.
Mm-hmm.
Books, why books? I can't particularly say I woke up one day and I just felt it's books, right? It's just a gradual process. From childhood, I'd always loved to read. I actually started reading through using my father's library. I know I
Okay.
had academic books, right? I had my school
Mm-hmm.
notes and all that. But because I saw my father always reading and he never tend to, he actually was a biology teacher. He's retired, and
Okay.
each time he was actually reading for a particular thing, maybe he had a subject he needs to discuss with his students,
Mm-hmm.
or he had a topic to discuss in church, he would always bring other reference materials to actually broaden his knowledge. So I discovered he wasn't really reading a particular thing; he was always reading here and there. So I just felt,
Okay.
why not dive into his library? And I started picking up books from his library and started reading. Then eventually I got into University of Port Harcourt, and then I saw they had this in my fellowship, my first fellowship. I saw they had
Yeah.
this section where you have books displayed, people come to buy books,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it, just to help the fellowship members broaden their minds spiritually, because a lot of the books that were sold had spiritual um, backgrounds to them. So it was more of spiritual books being sold. Because I already loved books, I just had to go into that department. I started working with the lady who was in charge then. I worked with Amaka before then she handed over to, I think that's Ruth, yes. Then I
Okay.
worked more with Sister Ruth. And over
Is
time,
that Ruth?
when
Is
it,
that Ruth? Is that Ruth a chain? Now Ruth
yes,
Siberu? Ah,
yes,
okay.
yes, yes. So over time, when the Eleco called me and they were like, what part of the fellowship would you do you see yourself serving in? Naturally, I don't know whether God called me or anything. You know, we want to
Mm-hmm.
spiritualize. The Holy Spirit told
Uh,
me and all that, but I don't think it was just natural for me because it's something I won't struggle in. So I just
yeah.
said literature secretary. So I was actually after the ballot and everything. Of course, they do a lot of electoral processes and all that. I
Mm-hmm.
emerged as the literature secretary, right? So
Okay.
I started handling that department. So while trying to help people grow in this knowledge aspect using books, I discovered okay, why not just just break free? Don't make it the limiting thing that it's just the number of books there that are there that you have to work with. So I
Yeah.
started looking for where to buy books and all that. Stephen Urebu was the president there. So he supported me a lot. He gave me
Mm.
little capital to start up. So that was how I actually grew that department. We also had a library where people could come borrow books. And because I saw people tell me this book changed my life, I read this book and I could stop a lot of demonic oppression in my life. I read this book, I
Mm.
understood what it meant to speak in tongues.
Mm-hmm.
Christian background, and it was working. So for me, if I see what is working, why leave it? So when I left school, I eventually started working with other establishments, but
Okay.
I didn't stop selling books. I was
Yeah.
selling books in the background. So when I worked with Philps Electronics as a salesperson, I was selling
Okay.
books. When I
Mm.
also worked, yes, I worked with Philps Electronics for I was covering their
Wonderful.
south region, right? So I
Mm.
was going from Bayelsa, Asaba, Port Harcourt. I
Mm-hmm.
was covering this region. Then
Mm.
I also worked with Visionary Academy, and
Okay.
because they also knew my strength when it had to do with books, I handled their book review section.
Mm.
And a lot of the times, when students had issues and all that, we were all working with a team of 5. And
Okay.
basically, we're using books to help them develop career mindsets beyond the academic um, knowledge. Because, of course,
Okay.
outside there, you need more than chemistry, you need more than physics, you need more than all those academic subjects to survive. So the schools we were working with, all we're doing was to prepare the students to have career knowledge that enables them to succeed, right, in the outside world. And then
Wow.
yes, so I was already selling books in the background. I was already running sort of book clubs and all that. So at
Mm-hmm.
some point, I just felt like, what's there? Let's dive into this full time. Since this is where my joy is, since this is where my life
The way
is.
the way
So
the, the way the way Nigerians will say it, we die here, but we're not dying here now. We live here.
we live here, please.
We live here.
So that's how it actually came about. I had to take it seriously as a business, register it, and then started doing it full time. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
there's something they say which I don't agree with. And I think we need to change that conversation. That if you want to hide something from the black man, put it in the book. Is that true?
If you want to hide something from anybody generally, put it. I think the reason why that my Smoro actually made that comment, and the
Mm.
reason why he made that comment was because back then the blacks actually didn't see anything about. Sorry, it may look like a stereotype, but it was actually true. People didn't see the need to read, right? They
You're right.
just felt that after school, get a job, the normal cliche we've already had
Mm-hmm.
about life. Get a job. When you get a job, you make your money, you succeed. But life is beyond all that. So
Yeah.
Miles Monroe knew that a lot of people who were patronizing his book department were not Africans. He had more people from the Western world patronizing him. So I think those must have triggered him to say that. And then
Yeah.
you see somebody with a book. I think some persons just like the idea that they have a book, right? They bought a book. it should be in their bookshelf, and everybody sees me
They
as
don't
intellectual, and they
exactly.
eventually don't read it. But over time, we've seen that narrative change because it's actually
Okay.
the quote is not new, it's long. But over time, we've seen that narrative change. People are becoming more hungry for knowledge. People are actually picking up books and reading. When you ask
Mhm.
somebody what did they read about, they can actually tell you what they read. So the narrative is changing. Although, if you ask me, I could just say it's between the percentage of 50-50. It's not as effective. It's not as how will I put it? It's not yet balanced the way we want it. For those
We
of us in the
expect it
book
to be.
world, yes,
Okay.
you see more people more inclined to music, right, and
Yeah.
movies than with
Okay.
books.
Okay.
Yes, and
Now,
that's
what
because reading.
go
Okay,
on, go on, go on.
okay, that's because reading is actually hard work. With
Reading is
movies, you
hard
don't need
work.
any. Yes, it
Why
is.
do you say that?
I must say because the truth is, it needs your mind to be engaged in the activity.
You need
I
your mind to
can
watch a movie too.
really, but the truth is, for some persons, it's easier for them to see movies. For some persons, it's easier for them to see documentaries, right? I would say
Okay.
it's hard for whoever doesn't have the culture. I wouldn't want to feel that what they are saying is wrong per
Mm.
se. It's hard for someone who doesn't have the culture, but for someone who has the culture, it's easy. And for someone like me
Okay.
who has the culture, it may not really be fair on the person who is saying it's hard to make the person
Hmm.
just feel it's just that easy. It's hard, but it's not impossible, right?
So
When you start
how
off
do
the
we how
okay.
do we how do we improve on this culture from a feminine perspective? Because now for
Okay.
me, let me tell you the truth. My mom was the first person that introduced me to reading. Then my
Beautiful.
teach then my teacher, my primary school teacher, Mrs. Jones. So how do we get our children, how do we get our wives, our husbands, our friends to see that yes, it's difficult, but it's possible? How do we get them to see this?
Okay, now, the truth is, for those who already have the reading culture, over time it becomes an habit and it becomes something you
Okay.
can easily navigate. But so for someone who is just starting out, start from
Hmm.
the point of need, right?
Okay.
We all
Point
have a
of need.
need we want. Yes, we all have something we are working on or we are aspiring towards, right?
Hmm.
So for someone who is career minded, there's something in your career you are actually looking forward to change. For someone who is in a relationship, there's something you are looking for to change. And for
Yeah.
somebody who is in how would I put it? For somebody who is married, there may be something in your family you're looking to change. And all these answers are in books. It's one of the reasons I feel that books are limitless because there's no solution you're looking for that you won't find in a book. Someone who has a struggle with cooking, there's a book for food. For someone who
Hmm.
has problem with fashion, there's a book for fashion sense. For somebody who has problem with whatever problem you have. So for me, I feel first start from the point of need. Then secondly, for those of us the female gender, the truth is we all desire our children to read, right? Now,
Right.
when we can only push this habit to our children when it's part of us because children learn by example. So when
So
I know
that's
that my
more or
kids
less
are
you
certainly
modeling
going
it
to,
before them.
yeah,
Go on.
yes. So when I know that my kids would look up to me to learn certain examples that will become life skills for them,
Hmm.
certain life survival skills, I know reading is part of it. So I want to model reading to my children, and I don't want to pretend that I am reading. I will actually read. So that
Okay.
way, I've seen mothers who never liked to read, but
Hmm.
because they wanted to model reading to their children, they eventually started reading. It could just start with a
Discipline.
novel.
Hmm.
Yes. And the truth is you reading to your child is one other way to develop the habit of reading.
Okay.
Pick up a book and you because children actually start enjoying or start learning the habit of reading not when they started talking because subconsciously those activities you're doing around them while they are little babies actually
Yeah.
register in their memory, right? So
Okay.
reading to your child when your child is even a very little baby, not yet speaking
Hmm.
up, trying to form language and all that, enables them
Hmm.
to understand, okay, this is something that is beautiful, enables them to embrace it as beautiful. Some mothers, I see it happen a lot, and I wonder why we do that. Some mothers want to punish a child and they use book, go and read as a source of punishment. When
That
you're
is
supposed to
not.
be teaching the child, It's not.
Exactly.
When you're supposed to be teaching the child, that book is something you're supposed to enjoy. Okay. So I
Okay.
want my child to read, and I'm watching Telemundo or Z Word, right? And I'm forcing my child to read. What I'm trying to also sell to the child is that, see, this one that I am doing has more priority, but because you're a child, do this one. So as you are growing up, you can drop this and then focus on
And do this
television.
one.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with television, but everything should have its appropriate time, right? Um,
Okay. Right.
one of the stories on reading that fascinates me a lot is the story of Ben Cassie.
Dr. Ben
The story
Carson.
of Ben, yes, okay. Their mom was actually an illiterate and didn't really know what to do about the children, her children being because Ben Cassie was already told in school that he was a dummy, and
Mm-hmm.
there was nothing that could be done for him to. But she already knew that the escape route from poverty is knowledge, that if the child doesn't read, the child will start from square one, like the way she is. She was a
Mm-hmm.
janitor or she was a house cleaner and she was working for a lot of persons. And if her son does not read, the truth is he would eventually become like her or the both of them. She had two boys.
Two
So she had to
boys.
pray to the yes, she had to pray to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit revealed to her, okay, call down the television time, increase this, do that, and she eventually followed through. And
Yeah.
illiterate, and was even following through for them to go to the library to pick up books. But he discovered that the opportunities Ben Carson had in his life were not given to him just because he studied medicine. Most of those opportunities were given to him because he could discuss in a versatile way. The medical doctor, he was able to discuss about classical musics and
Mm-hmm.
time of production, the people who actually sang the song and the rest.
Yeah.
Then the favor he found with the geography teacher was because he picked up a book on geography and read in the library. That gave him an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to have extra time to practice even in the
When
laboratory.
when he talked about obsidian or something, I think there was one.
Yeah, the name of a stone, yes.
A stone.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, so you see, the truth is, if mothers can understand that you have a role to play in the growing up of your child, in learning the right skills, and reading is one of them, I think we would
Yeah.
take it more seriously.
All right.
We'll
Looking at
take it
looking
more
at the age
seriously.
looking at the age we're in now, that you have technology revolutionizing a lot of things. We now have
Mm,
what is called audiobooks. What do you
yes,
have to
and
say about
ebooks.
audiobooks? Ebooks,
Audiobooks
audiobooks.
and ebooks.
Yeah.
They're fine. I think when this whole evolution or innovation started, it's almost raised an alarm for me to think that book business will soon go extinct, right? But initially I was afraid, but over time it's no
Mm-hmm.
longer part of my fears. Reason being that I just discovered, I it's not that I just discovered, I discovered that they are complementary to each other, right? There are people who have busy
Good.
schedules and honestly they can't meet up with sitting down always to read a book. They can't. So in the
Yeah.
traffic, if you have an audiobook and you can play and you're the one driving, because another thing is you're the one driving yourself. If your travel time, someone else is the one driving you, it's easier to read a normal book.
In the
But
phone book.
if you're the one driving yourself, right?
Right.
You can't afford a driver yet. You need an audiobook. And really, in a world where we have a lot of information, you want to filter what you hear. Audiobooks are a
Mm-hmm.
very good bet. Yeah,
Good.
because you already know what to expect. Unlike
Okay.
when you're listening to a radio conversation, you already know what
Okay.
to expect with the audiobook. You already know the thought line. So audiobooks are good. Ebooks are good. Ebooks can even be converted to audiobooks. But
Mm.
the beautiful thing about those materials in my line of business is that people, even after listening to the audiobook and reading the ebook, eventually come and say, "Oh, I need the hard copy because I still want it in my library. I want to be seeing
The
it."
feel of putting it even.
Yeah, yeah. So the audiobooks are very beautiful. The only limiting thing about audiobooks is that you may, because you don't pay, because with normal books you can pay, you have your total attention on the book, but with audiobook you can miss some information
Mm.
because you may just trying to pay attention to the things in your environment. You may
Mm-hmm.
just skip a line or something, but with normal book, skipping a line is not even possible because when you skip, you know, I didn't get this information right. I need to go back
Get
and
back
get
to
it right. You can't
exactly.
highlight. Normal books you highlight. Normal books you
Mm-hmm.
open, normal books you
Mm-hmm.
can put a bookmark and come back to it and all
Yeah.
that. Audiobooks have those limiting features. Then also for audiobooks, um, sometimes sometimes with audiobooks, because of battery electrical issue, you have to power banks and all that. But with normal books, it's just there. But I feel that all of them, they do complement each other. And the truth is, innovation is not necessarily for to make the other material feel like they were irrelevant, but to
Irrelevant.
just show, yes, but to just show the world that progress, and you can always keep making progress on materials that are available. So audiobooks and ebooks, they are excellent materials, if you ask me.
Guys, I told you she's a bookie. See the way she's talking about books effortlessly. The first time I saw her as in review a book, I was like, wow, she's just doing this thing effortlessly. So now tell us, in the world of books, which do you prefer? As in, what do you call your, what's the term now? What is your genre of books? As in, this is where I fall: romance, or poetry, or fiction, non-fiction. Tell us, where do you fall in?
My, my strength basically is non-fiction. I love
Non-fiction.
non-fiction a lot. Yes.
Okay.
But I enjoy
Why?
fiction. But I enjoy fictional books that are inspirational. Now,
Okay.
fictional books for me, they are really very, very interesting, right?
Mhm.
But because I want quick answers and I don't want to keep asking, where is this book leading to? Where is it leading to? For fictional books, if you start, you're almost not finishing. You
Mhm.
can't drop it till you finish for fictional
Yeah.
books, because if it's quite intriguing, then
Mhm.
when I started working, trying to read into the night because I'm trying to find out what's happening to the next character, what's doing, I just felt it won't work. Oh. We have to find a balance to this thing, right? I love fictional
Mhm.
materials, but right now my best bets are non-fictional. But we
Okay.
have a genre that I think most people haven't cashed in on, which I also like a lot. It's called what memoirs, right? People's
Memoirs.
story.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, they are my best genre, if you ask me, even in
Okay.
the non-fictional world, because I'm learning from someone's experience. They are direct books on people's experiences.
So
So
it
I'm
cuts
learning
me
from
away
some,
from it cuts
yes, yes,
it cuts me away from certain life experiences, more or less. So I've read this book,
yes.
so I've encountered it, so I move on. I glean from that person's story.
Beautiful. That's just what it is for me. So I want to learn about maybe relationship. I look for a memoir and just read. I want to read about business, like there's Alibaba, the house that Jack Ma built.
Mm,
Although a lot of people pick it up as a business nonfiction, but actually it's a memoir. So I want to just read about. I want to know about politics, and I want to look at Barack Obama's view on politics. And I read his book,
the audacity
Dreams
of
for My
hope.
Father. Yes, and Dreams for My Father, and all that. So it
Okay.
just cuts short the problem of this is not applicable, this is not realistic,
Mm,
this is not this one, because I'm
mm,
seeing someone who had also
mhm.
applied that. So for me, most of the non-fiction that I really love are not non-fictions that, because some people can do a lot of copy and paste. There are some books that I've picked and I've
Okay.
dropped. I want books from people's life experience, and they're teaching me
Okay.
based on principles that can work and are very applicable to me.
All right. So what are you doing now to help this industry in terms of pushing forward the concept and idea of books, the importance of books in nation building, in our society, and all that? What exactly are you doing now?
Okay. When I started off selling books, part of my major challenge was I was a bit afraid that people
Mm,
may not patronize as much because we have fewer people who read. So part of what I do as a person and as a business, as someone who is doing the business full time, part of what I do is that I do a lot of book reviews, right? When I
okay.
started out initially, it's just that now it's almost a thing. Everybody has seen the whole style, and some persons are picking it. Back
Exactly.
then in 2016, you find few persons going to the studio to start snap pictures with books. but I would always go to the studio, snapping pictures with books, talking about the books. So some persons were like, can you imagine this young lady? People go to studio to snap themselves, and this lady goes with books and people's books so that she can come online and review and talk about the books. But what that did for me was that pictures are attention grabbing. So I grab their attention, then I
They
talk
are,
about
repeat that.
pictures are pictures are attention grabbing, right? So
Right.
what I use that to gain their attention, then I talk about the book. Then whoever falls in the category that needs that book will eventually ask me to buy, that they want to purchase the book. I started up with book clubs. I was going to
Okay.
schools in Port Harcourt and running book clubs in schools around Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
I had a Holy Rosary school. Then there's this school in the army barracks that I was working with, Rockville Academy. I even went to a church,
Okay.
Crystal Vine Center, Crystal Vine Community. So
Okay.
I've also gone to House on the Rock, the teenage section, to talk about the reading culture. So I keep talking about it. It's not about having a bookshop and you just display the books. You need to create awareness for the problems these books solve. And that's what I
Okay.
do. In my online book club, we also read books and review books. So I've also done the physical aspect of it, the physical book review aspect of it that we had to pause for a while after I had
Okay.
a ugly incident with the physical bookshop I had back then in 2017. So I've done quite a lot, and there's still much to do. That's the truth. There's still much work to do because creating awareness for knowledge doesn't just end in the few things that I have done. There's a lot more to be done. At some point, I started doing a podcast on book reviews. I
Okay.
stopped, right?
Why?
So, well, I don't just know, but I think I would revisit that.
You
I
need
would
to. You
revisit
need to. You need to.
I would revisit that. Sometimes after the overwhelming nature of the business interferes with the other aspect of talking about the reviews and all that. You come back home late and tired and all
Mhm.
that. So,
But I think
because
somebody, sorry for cutting you in there. Somebody who came on the show some days ago said something about setting up of structures, competence
yeah,
structures. Because I've seen you over the years grow in your book review and all that. Maybe that's my observation. I've not seen 2, 3, 4 people working with you. This is my suggestion to you anyway, that you're
okay,
doing a fantastic job. But I think you need
okay,
to build a team, a structure that we know the minute we see them, those are the disciples of grace. Look at them. You can see the way they are dissecting and reviewing, so that it will
yeah,
give you time to go pursue other endeavors within the world of, or the universe of books, like podcasting, for example. So
yeah,
this is my suggestion, because you're a powerhouse. See the books behind you. They are all screaming. You're a powerhouse. That's the truth. So I think you should give it a thought.
yeah.
Building a structure, people around you, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, and you get them going. When do you normally have your book? What do you call it now? Virtual book reviews, your online book reviews. When
Okay,
do you normally have them?
the one with the book club. Last Friday of every month. Last Friday of every month. Last
Okay,
year was on WhatsApp, but we moved it to Zoom this year. The
good.
January, February, we did it on Zoom so that we can have the privilege of seeing the faces of those who are
And also
participating.
recording them.
Uh, yes, so that's it. Then the school reviews are usually done within the school premises for the schools that signed up.
Okay,
We have
okay.
we have about two of them right now because of this pandemic and all that. Some schools are
Mhm.
trying to come back and get their foot on ground again. So, and some parents are actually trying to. It's paid for. So some parents are
Okay,
actually not there financially, so they had to cut down on a few extracurriculum activities to
okay.
actually give these parents a fair
But
landing.
do you have book clubs for adults? not just preteens and adolescents now, but adults? Do you have
Yes,
such a
the
program
online book club is for adults. We don't
for adults?
have yes. Last year we reviewed from third word to first, the Singapore story. That's not
Mm,
a that's
Link
not
one new.
a small yes, that's not a small child's book. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So
I
we
do.
have
I
the
do.
we have the adult section, and that's the one online. Anyone can actually join. But what I'm trying to do is to create the paid version of it. So
Okay.
subsequently, we'll be having the paid version of it in April. We're
All right.
coming up with the paid version and then the free version. So we just want different categories that people can actually subscribe to. You want the free version, this is what you get. You want the paid version, this is what you get. Then you want the accountability version,
Awesome.
this is what you get. Yes. Yes.
It's what you get. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think the approach you're taking now, you're breaking into what I say every facet of the society. It's being fragmented, like you will say it in a catalyst, like just going into all the sections and reading all those stuffs. And I'm so happy for you for that.
Thank
Now,
you.
tell me, where do you hope to see yourself with this activity, books,
Okay.
say in the next 5 years, in the next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years?
Consulting. Um, Basically because I believe that what I'm doing is beyond um now.
Yeah.
And subsequently, the truth is, people who will be needing my services will be serious professionals who are thinking of expanding both in their life, their business, and those who are also thinking of writing books
Mm,
that would reach out to the world at large. Because people also want to get the view of those who are reading to find out how would people receive my books, how
true.
will people receive the knowledge?
Yeah.
What do I do to ensure that this becomes an international standard and this
Mm-hmm.
is something that doesn't become repulsive or just become something that is just for a generation, right?
True.
So that's where
True.
I see myself because I've read a lot. I may have had those who have read more than I do, but I know that I've read a lot to gain
Mm,
that authority to say this and this about books, this
yeah.
and that not about books, right?
Mm,
And
yeah.
also I look at publishing, although I've still not had a go ahead. I'm still trying to see how that works or how that plays out. But I'm also looking at publishing. We have a lot of publishing houses in Nigeria as we
Okay.
speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I'm looking at publishing and what we could do differently to ensure that it's different from what other publishers are offering. And that's where
Okay.
the consulting aspect comes in. So we hold authors by the hand and show them the ropes and all that, even down to marketing and all that. So when it has to do with the future of books, I look at consulting because the truth
Consulting.
is, there's no end to books, no end, no single end to books. There's nothing, there's no knowledge. Like, as down to how do I make my bed? There's a book on it, right? So,
Very,
some,
very
somebody,
true. Very
somebody,
true.
somebody, somebody out there is trying to solve someone's problem with books,
Problem.
and because
Yeah.
there are some people who would not want to read a lot, but they want to consult those who have read to provide solution to their
Mm-hmm.
business, to their marriage. That's where I also see myself coming in. To be honest, I can't tell you that this is like there's a fine tune to a name or something that I have to it right now, but that is where I see myself. I don't see myself leaving books totally.
Okay.
Tomorrow, there may be a possibility that I may be in another establishment, but when it comes to human capital development, I don't see myself leaving it totally, right?
Right.
Anything I'm going to do in the future must be around it, human resource management, human capital development, and all that. So I'm just trusting
Cool.
that I'll give myself the required push to get there. Then
Mm,
I hope to author books too. Yes, that will help
good.
people because I'm writing. I haven't published yet, but I'm still writing. Because I critique
Good.
books, I want to ensure that what I'm writing is something someone else can also consume.
I can see Guys, we've been discussing with Grace Ngozi Onyebuolise on the Phenomenal Woman series. We can go on and on and on and on, but as you can see, she's a bookie. That's what I call her. She loves books. She finds her peace, her essence within the pages of books. Grace, any last words for our audience today?
Okay. Yes, thank you so much for having me and listening to me. It's always an honor to have people listen to you. It means that you have something good to say or there's something you're adding to their life. And then one other thing I want to tell us, okay, I want to encourage us. Reading is not difficult, right? It may seem difficult because at first it's a struggle. Any struggle at first would always pose as a mountain. But when the mountain is removed eventually, you just discovered it was nothing in the first place.
Exactly.
And one way to read. I told one lady when she came to me and was like, I need to learn how to read. I want to develop the culture of reading. I had to tell her one way to read is to just read. Pick up a book.
Just pick up a book and start reading.
Yes. Pick up a book, open the first page.
There's no formula to read.
Yes. If it's not interesting, drop it. Look for another book. There's always an interesting book that will fit your need. And if you still have struggle, consult someone who reads, okay? Ask them for recommendation and you will thrive. That's my encouraging word or word of encouragement for us.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you,
so much, sir.
We're so glad you joining us on the show today. You know, this is the WordCafé live show. And I'm your host, Amachree Isoboye. I believe in the power of words, for it is the unit of creation. Grace, hope you will answer that call when we invite you again on the show to share those wonderful moments with us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
When we come your way again, we have so much in store for you. We're still continuing this series, celebrating the phenomenal woman in, around, everywhere in our country, in our world. Till we come your way again, thank you. Grace, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having me. Grateful.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Yeah, bye, sir.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right, people. That's what we have for you today. Tomorrow, in the future, yes, we're going to bring another phenomenal woman. Don't go away. Bye for now.